Hey everybody, this is Drew. Welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to assemble the Sherman, and I will narrate a little bit through the video, and then at the very end we'll go over the build and see what it looks like, and I'll give some commentary on what I'm doing throughout the video. In this first part, you glue these metal rods at the very bottom of the tank, and I just used some super glue, but the purpose of these is to give the tank some weight. It is a 1/48 scale, so it's a little bit smaller than the traditional 1/35 scale, but it is a nice touch. And then you move on to putting the side pieces on. This is the parts where the suspension attaches. I think they're called sponsons, but I'm trying to learn my tank part bit. Just using some Tamiya extra thin, and after those are on, I'm going to move on to attaching the tow hooks that go on the front. For little pieces like this, I like to use my Model Master liquid cements, a little slower setting, so it gives you some time to place them. And then we move on to the exhaust area, so I'll be building that and attaching it to the tank. And these are the drive sprockets. They go next, and they have a poly cap you put inside them, and then carefully glue the top piece, because they are going to rotate, and there is a reason for that, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, so now it's time to start assembling the bogie mechanisms with the shocks, and then installing the wheels. And I must say, these suspension parts fit perfectly. Tamiya has engineered these to where you can't put them in backwards. And these little pieces here are, I think they're basically shocks that go on both sides of the mechanism. And Tamiya has shaped locator holes to keep you from putting them backwards, because it would look kind of funny if they weren't incorrectly. So way to go, Tamiya. That's very cool. So here I'm attaching the return rollers, and I made a decision to put all these suspension parts on the vehicle, and I'll paint them on the vehicle, so hopefully that'll work out. All of these wheels had a prominent seam line running down the middle, so I spared you watching me sand all 24 of these. So I had to sand them down. I know there's going to be a track, but I want them cleaned up and want that seam line gone. So now we turn our attention to building the turret, and you do get a nice seam line that'll have to be cleaned up. this next step is to attach the support braces for the fender, and these are tiny, very fiddly. So what I do is I put them down on top of a glob of poster tack and cut them off the sprue. That way they don't go flinging across the room. And just gotta be careful. Use a good set of tweezers. There are locator pins for this, so they fit nicely, and just takes a lot of patience. They do give you a few extras in case you do lose one to the carpet monster. I did drop one, but I was able to find it. So take your time, but that's certainly the fiddly part, but it looks good when they're done. And of course the little, all the little grab handles and things like that go on there as well. They are, again, same thing, very small, very fiddly, so take your time and use good tweezers. That's all I can really say about it. So the barrel is a single piece except for the muzzle brake, and that has one half you have to attach, but otherwise there's no seam line down the barrel that you have to worry about. All right, here come the tracks. I was a little worried about this, but they actually worked out pretty well. So the tracks come in a couple of long pieces, one for the top and one for the bottom, and then you just assemble some smaller links. And what you do is you glue them together and let them set for about 5 minutes before it's fully dry, and then you wrap the tracks around. And as you'll see, I didn't want to glue them fully at the top because I want to take them off. I want to be able to paint them separately, and so it worked out pretty well. So you'll see the end result when we get to the end of the video. All right, guys, I've completed all the major assembly, and you can see I've started sanding already. There's a seam right along here, and it looks pretty ugly now, but it is smooth, and once I get primer on it, it'll look great. The barrel is not secured yet because there's supposed to be like a silver or steel band or paint call out that calls for a steel right around the edge of the barrel there, like, so you'll see like a little steel band. So I didn't secure it yet, and there we go, and it moves up and down because it has poly caps in there, so you can move that. And you can see I've got all the little bits and bobs on here. There's periscope, there's the basically where you mount the 50 caliber, and here's the antenna mast and spotlight. Okay, and put that back on here. So it looks like a tank. It looks pretty ugly now, but once I get primer on, it's gonna look great. I had just a little bit of gaps right through here in some spots. I just put a little Vallejo water-based plastic putty. You just put it in there, and then take a moistened Q-tip and just smooth it out, and it fills those little gaps. But let me tell you what, guys, this was a very, very fiddly kit so far. It is small, and putting these on, you got to really take your time. And you can see the headlights and the guards, and also the grab handles. Very, very fiddly, but get a good set of tweezers. For me, I've got to have some visors, but otherwise I'm pretty happy the way it's turning out. It looks pretty good. It'll look much better with primer, that's for sure. It does have a little place right here where you can put gas cans and stuff. I actually ordered a little stowage kit for this, and I'll show that off in the next video, but it should be coming in the mail soon, because I've been told you can't have a Sherman without having a bunch of stowage on it. So Americans like to travel in style, so they need their bed rolls and tents and stuff like that. So but yeah, so there's the top hull, and all right, and we can take a look at the lower hull with the bogies and the wheels. I did make a decision to paint the wheels on the vehicle. Every wheel had a seam down the middle of it, so I had to clean that up. It was pretty prominent, so I had to clean that up. You can sand that out a little bit, but you can see it's really nice detail in the suspension system. Okay, and there's the front. You got your tow hooks or whatever those are. The drive sprocket, they do come off. They do turn, and I'll show you why in just a second. That Tamiya, even though you're not going to be able to turn the whole track and roll it around and play with it, they did build it, engineer it where these rotate. So I'll show you why in just a second. So okay, and up here we see the exhaust pipes. Up here, and this is a exhaust deflector. I'm learning my tank names. And the tracks, so as you saw, the tracks go together in sections, and then when you glue the sections together and let it dry for a while. Don't let it dry 100%, and then you just wrap them on. But I wanted to be able to take the tracks off because I want to paint them, and paint them separately, and not have to worry about trying to mask everything. So as you saw earlier in the video, what I did is I just didn't glue the final two parts to the top track. And the way Tamiya has engineered this, I mean, it's Tamiya, it's great. They've got a little guide hole right here. You can see that right there. And on one of the return rollers right there, get you closer, there's a little pin, and that just goes right there. There, so that's how it sits. And then with the sprocket, you want to get one of the cogs into one of the slots right here. So that's why they made them move, and also you can, it makes it easy to adjust. Now, see, I don't have it glued or anything down, so let me just hold it right there. And so what I'll do is when I'm done with the track, painting the tracks and everything, I'll just put it back on, and I can adjust this a little bit if I need to. by turning the sprocket and just join it together. It does fit, I promise. But yeah, so I can just join these bottom half to the top half and use a little super glue or something like that. So that's the tracks. There we go. Okay, so the next step is getting primer and then start the painting. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the tools on the sprue, paint those separately. But you can see there's the machine gun as well. It's just going to be a lot easier to paint these while they're on the sprue because they're pretty little. And so I'm looking forward to that. So it'll be kind of cool. And then put those on after I've painted the whole vehicle. That way I can add some washes and stuff like that. I still have the crew figure. He's still in pieces. But yeah, so it's coming along. Overall, really fun so far. Again, very fiddly. Take your time. You know, need some good tweezers. And yeah, so I did have to get on the floor and hunt a couple times. And so far I get kind of lucky when that happens. So this is a real snug fit. So I'm not gonna secure this until I'm ready to glue it 100% because it is pretty snug and it's gonna have to take some binding and stuff like that, but it does fit great. So anywho, that is where I'm at. And you can see the lights in the back, engine cover, forgot to talk about those. But there we are. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed my channel, please subscribe and give me a like and hit the bell notification if you want to see the next video in this series. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.